I'll never forget the time I logged into my bank account to see the available balance. Negative $120. What? How did that happen? I still had to put gas in my car to get to work, and I had to buy the gallon of milk for my toddler, let alone the other groceries that I wouldn't be able to afford. That was nearly 10 years ago, and I've come a long way since then. And in this video, I share with you the tips that have helped me learn to budget so that we never had to live the reality of not being able to afford the necessities again. If you're new here, I'm Samantha, creator of The Frugal Mom Life, where I share money-saving frugal tips that have helped my family of 5 live a more meaningful and happier life. My first tip is that you need to learn to love your budget. I know this can be difficult, but you need to view your budget as more of a tool to help you achieve your goals rather than something that restricts you from spending the money that you want to spend. I hated my budget for so long because I got into this never-ending cycle that went something like this. Create a budget, stick to the budget, accidentally overspend in an area of my budget, and then beat myself up because I couldn't stick to the budget. Instead of getting caught in a cycle like that, you need to become best friends with your budget. And that means being realistic on how much you are going to spend in certain areas of your expenses. It wasn't until I started doing this that I was actually able to effectively utilize the budget. My next tip is to communicate your goals to your spouse or your partner. Be realistic with each other and communicate how much you want to spend in certain areas of your expenses and know each other's goals. Now, this may mean making compromises for the greater good, but know that you are both working towards the ultimate better goal together. Don't make it a fight against you versus them or them versus you, because that's what causes the arguments and the overspending, because then one of you is going to resent the other and feel like you're restricting them and not allowing them to get what they want. My husband and I always communicate our goals, and we know what each of us values in life and what makes us happy. So in the end, if there's something that we really want, but it's not in the budget, yet it's something we really value, then we will find a way to make it work. We will either figure out, can we fit it in the budget in the future, or can we start saving up for that thing? And sometimes we do have to get it used or secondhand. But the important thing is knowing what each other values, because what I value isn't the same as another person, and what we value as a family isn't the same as another family. For example, my husband is a runner, so we will spend more money on things like running shoes and sign-ups for races than another person. But I know that that's something he values, so that's something that I'm willing to put into the budget as an expense. My next tip is to put it down on paper or on your computer. Just make sure that you have it written down somewhere to keep you accountable so that you don't forget the price that you had set for an expense, and so that you don't justify spending more than that allotted amount. Because I have done both of those things, and neither of them has helped me to reach my goals. I had to write it down on paper, and then it was like it was set in concrete. I could not change it after that. And if you don't want to write it down, then you can use a budgeting app. There are several of them out there. I'm not a big fan of these. I have tried them in the past, and I just didn't find them valuable. In my situation, I prefer to have my own spreadsheet so that I can categorize the way that I wish to categorize instead of going in and fixing things in the app because I didn't like how it had categorized them. But if you prefer the app to do most of the work for you, then by all means save the time and let the app do that work for you. And if you're at all curious about the way I budget and the budgeting practice that has helped me to successfully make and keep a budget for the past 10 plus years, I'm no longer keeping it a secret. I have made a free budget planner to help others like you learn how to budget. And I have included the link down below. My next tip is to make budgeting fun. We have done this by having budgeting challenges that we complete from time to time. We have done this mostly when we were trying to save for a car and as well when we were trying to save for a roof. Both of those times we did a no spend challenge where we just tried to spend as little as possible to put more money towards those bigger cost items and put it in savings until we were ready and had enough in the savings to pay for those items. But you don't just have to do a no spend challenge. There are many other challenges that you can do. Just pick an expense that you want to try to reduce and target that. One of my favorite expenses to reduce is the grocery budget because a lot of us overspend in that category. Another expense that we've dramatically reduced in the past is our electric expense. And we've also done a challenge where we lowered the thermostat temperature in the winter to save on our heating costs. And that brings me to my next tip. Don't get discouraged. If you find that you are often overspending, then don't be afraid to adjust your budget so that it reflects what you are actually spending. And then if you find that your expenses are more than your income, get creative. That means you have to increase your spending and or lower your expenses. So find ways to bring more money in, either by selling stuff or getting a side gig or a part-time job. You can also reduce your expenses by doing a number of things, and one of them being the challenge that I had mentioned previously. And my final tip is to avoid comparing yourself to others. Don't compare yourself to what others have or what they can afford. They may have different goals and different priorities than you, and that's okay. Remember your goals and remember your priorities and what you're working towards. I mentioned previously that my husband is a runner, so we spend extra money throughout the year on things like shoes and signing up for races. To another person, that may seem crazy, but it's what he values. And what other people do may seem crazy to me. Perhaps you like taking a boat out on the lake, so you spend money on having that boat and maintaining that boat, as well as a truck to transport that boat. While I may not understand spending the money on those things, if it's something you value, then go right ahead and spend it on those things. Because we need to find a balance between what makes us happy now so that we're not living miserable lives and preparing us for our future. So instead of comparing yourself to others, I often ask myself, what would my future self thank me for? And I do that instead. And sometimes that means you have to wait for the things that you want, but I have found that the universe has a way of providing if you're meant to have it. So there you have it, the easiest budgeting tips to help you save more money. If you have found this video at all helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It will help it reach other people. And if you're interested in reducing your expenses, check out the video that I have done where I share tips to cut your family's expenses.